broken, whole, and worthy. All at once, I want to tell you about someone who is changing lives simply by refusing to perform perfection. Her name is Sanciarey Nelson. She's a Black woman, a mother, a leader, and someone who is living through one of the most heartbreaking realities a parent can face. Her son is battling addiction. He has overdosed. He has been brought back to life with a defibrillator. And every single day, she prays that God gives him the strength to beat it. But here's what makes Sanciere so extraordinary. In the middle of that storm, in the middle of that fear and that heartbreak, she is also choosing herself. She is learning to set boundaries. She is building her confidence. She is becoming the woman she wants to be, not despite the chaos, but right in the middle of it. Sanciere is making the world better by being honest about the fact that she doesn't have it all figured out. And that honesty, that's the kind of courage that saves lives. So let's start here. Let's start with the truth nobody wants to say out loud. You don't have to be healed to start healing. You don't have to be confident to begin building confidence. You don't have to wait until your life is perfect to choose rest, softness, and joy. And you absolutely do not have to have it all together to be worthy of love, respect, and success. Because here's what we've been taught: we've been taught to hide our mess, to smile through the storm, to be the strong Black woman who holds everyone else together, even when we're falling apart. We've been taught that softness is weakness, that rest is laziness, that asking for help is failure. We've been taught to perform strength even when we're dying inside. But what if that's not strength at all? What if real strength is admitting when you're not okay and still choosing to take one more step forward? What if real strength is saying, I'm still figuring this out and I'm worthy anyway? Sanciere Nelson is living that truth. And so are countless other Black women who are quietly carrying similar burdens and still finding ways to heal, grow, and lead. Women who are balancing their own growth with the pain of watching someone they love destroy themselves. Women who are navigating heartbreak and healing at the same time. Women who are building independence and confidence, not in perfect conditions, but in the middle of real life storms. Let me tell you about a woman named Mildred J. Mills. Mildred grew up on a cotton farm in Alabama as one of 17 children. 17. She faced domestic violence. She faced poverty. She faced systemic racism that tried to tell her she was less than. She could have let that define her, but instead she chose faith over fear. She invested in education. She became a computer programmer in 1969 when Black women in tech were almost non existent. And eventually, she rose to become an IT executive. She wrote a memoir called Daddy's House, a daughter's memoir of setbacks, triumphs, and rising above her roots. She turned her private pain into a public testimony of resilience. And now she inspires entrepreneurs and small business owners with her story of reinvention and self determination. Here's the thing: Mildred didn't wait until her trauma was healed to start building her life. She built her independence in the middle of unresolved pain. She chose to grow even when life didn't feel fair or safe. And that's the lesson. Independence and confidence are built in the middle of real life storms, not in perfect conditions. Sanciere is balancing her own growth with the pain of her son's addiction, repeated overdoses, and the fear of losing him again. That shows that confidence isn't about having it all together. It's about choosing yourself and your healing, even when life feels out of control. And here's where it gets real, because addiction doesn't just affect the person using, it pulls the entire family into cycles of fear, hope, relapse, and responsibility. It's watching someone you love make choices that could kill them and feeling helpless to stop it. It's praying every single day that God gives them the strength to beat it, while also beating yourself up for not being able to convince them to get clean. It's living with the knowledge that they've already died once, been brought back with a defibrillator, and still went back to using. That's the reality Sanciarey is living. And it's the reality that so many Black mothers, sisters, daughters, and friends are living too. There's a recovery home in Maryland called the Lily House that works with Black mothers in recovery from addiction. One of the mothers featured in their story started with prescription painkillers, something that felt safe, something a doctor gave her, and it spiraled into heroin and fentanyl. She overdosed, she went to jail, she was separated from her daughter. Her own mother, who had been caring for her child, eventually couldn't continue. The whole family was affected, but here's what happened next. She entered the Lily House, which provides structured recovery support, life skills, and a stable environment focused on helping mothers reclaim their lives. She began working on sobriety, emotional healing, and practical steps toward reunification with her child. Through counseling and community, she started rebuilding her self esteem, her accountability, and her sense of worth beyond her addiction. And slowly she began to stabilize. She gained life skills. She moved toward being able to parent again. She worked toward reunifying with her daughter. Her story became an example of hope and second chances, normalizing the idea that healing from addiction is possible, even after overdose and incarceration. This story matters because it shows that addiction does not have to be the end of a family story. Healing is possible even after devastating choices and outcomes. And it also shows that healing and change often require structured support and boundaries, not just pleading or self blame. For Sanciere and for anyone loving someone in active addiction, this is a reminder that you are not responsible for fixing them. You can pray for them. You can love them. You can set boundaries, but you cannot carry their recovery for them. And choosing to protect your own peace while still holding space for their healing is not selfish, it's necessary. That's the truth we need to hear. You are not alone. Black women are quietly carrying similar burdens and still finding ways to heal, grow, and lead. Sancierey's journey is part of a wider story of Black women transforming pain, family trauma, and societal pressure into purpose, boundaries, and self compassion. Hearing her story helps other Black professionals, leaders, and entrepreneurs feel seen and less isolated in their own struggles. Because here's the thing, we've been conditioned to believe that we have to be strong all the time, that softness is weakness, that rest is laziness, that asking for help is failure. But what if softness is actually a radical act of self love? What if rest is how we refuel so we can keep going? What if asking for help is how we build community and connection? Let me tell you about Annie Turnbow Malone. Annie was born to formerly enslaved parents. She dealt with childhood illness, systemic racism, economic exclusion, and limited pathways for Black women to thrive. But she didn't let that stop her. She transformed her curiosity about herbs and hair care into a professional hair care system called the Poro system that addressed the needs of Black women's hair. She built a business that didn't just sell products, it trained more than 75,000 agents, giving Black women skills, income, and a path to independence. Annie Malone became one of the first Black multimillionaire business owners in the United States, built entirely around serving and empowering Black women. Tens of thousands of Black women gained financial independence and confidence through training in sales roles with her company. Her legacy shows that Black women can lead industries, build wealth, and change communities, even when starting from marginalization. Annie's story illustrates a key idea that Sensei Sire is living out. Life's trials can become the seed of your purpose and independence if you let them guide you instead of break you. So, what do we do with all of this? How do we take Sancierey's story, Mildred's story, the mothers at the Lily House, Annie's legacy, and turn it into something we can actually use in our own lives. Here's what I want you to do: start practicing one small act of self honesty and one small act of self compassion every day. Self honesty means admitting one truth about where you're struggling with confidence, boundaries, family, or healing instead of pretending to be fine. It means saying out loud, even if it's just to yourself, I'm scared, I'm tired, I don't know what to do, I'm hurting. Because you can't heal what you won't acknowledge. Self compassion means doing one nurturing thing for yourself: pray, journal, take a quiet walk, schedule therapy, or set a loving boundary without guilt. It means treating yourself with the same tenderness you would offer a friend who's going through what you're going through. Stop beating yourself up for not having life figured out. Stop waiting until everything is perfect to choose softness, rest, and joy. Instead, commit to daily, gentle steps toward becoming the better person you want to be, even while your life is still messy. Because here's what I want you to feel right now: I want you to feel seen and understood, especially if you're a Black woman juggling independence, confidence, and complicated family pain. I want you to feel softer towards yourself, less harsh, less self critical, more willing to give yourself grace while you grow. I want you to feel quietly hopeful, not in a loud, performative way, but in a steady, grounded sense that healing and growth are possible, even when your heart is breaking. And I want you to feel spiritually reassured, knowing that your prayers matter, that God is present in the struggle, not just the victory. Sanciarey Nelson is still figuring life out. She's still praying for her son. She's still working on becoming a better woman, mother, and person. And she's still worthy, still loved, still powerful, still making a difference. And so are you. You don't have to be fixed to be worthy. You don't have to wait until you're healed to start healing. You can be a work in progress and still be whole. You can carry heartbreak and still choose joy. You can be independent and confident even when life feels out of control. This is your permission to rest, to heal, to grow, to be honest, to set boundaries, to choose yourself, not out of burnout, but out of reverence. Not because you're weak, but because you're wise enough to know that you can't pour from an empty cup. So here's my challenge to you: stop performing strength, stop pretending you have it all together, stop waiting for permission to be soft. Because the world doesn't need another version of you that's running on empty. The world needs the real you, the messy, healing, growing, honest, powerful you. Take off the cape, set down the burden, choose yourself. And watch what happens when you finally give yourself permission to be both broken and whole at the same time. Because that's where the magic is. That's where the healing is. That's where your power lives. Right there in the middle of the mess, right there in the tension between heartbreak and hope, right there in the quiet decision to keep going, even when you don't know how. You are not alone. You are not too much. You are not broken beyond repair. You are worthy. You are loved. You are powerful. And your story, just like Sancieri's, is changing the world simply by being told. So go ahead, tell it, live it, own it, and give yourself permission to be soft while you do.